Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by
That
Chevy
might
Silverado.
be a tech tip for one day to talk about as well. Welcome back, everyone. When you got somebody like Chris Bertopoulos in the studio, we can't stop talking during the commercial break. And before, you know what, we were just talking about rigging and this and that. Sometimes maybe we overthink these things. That's a discussion for another day. Okay, so let's get a shot with that Kershaw Tech Cam, please. We probably should have set that up earlier, but hey, it's me. I'm not a professional. You all know that. You brought in cut plugs. Now, this has been in the works for quite a while. We had a chance to launch this year for the first time for Yakima Bait when they first came out. Thank you very much. And they just went crazy at the Sportsman Show. Now, I know that happened for you, too. You rigged these a little bit differently, and I know that you haven't had a chance to, put these in the water yet. I know you haven't had a chance to catch any fish on them, but I want to know why your perspective was to change the rigging with this tubing, which turns out comes from VIP. Okay?
Correct.
So I'm just interested in what your thought process was there.
Well, one thing I noticed, and I've talked to Jared about it at the Puyallup show, and I watched a couple of the videos that they put out with Shane, and they mentioned that small beads are better than big beads for getting a tighter roll. So, hey, go even smaller and use some of VIP's micro tubing on there, which I use in other applications too. And so, like I said, I haven't fished these yet, but I'm excited to fish them and excited to play with them and tinker with them and see if I suspect we're going to catch some fish on them. I really do.
First things first, when I look at what you got going on here, rigging, that's the first thing I look at. I always want to know how a professional does their stuff. You doctor just about everything. I had a chance to fish with you once. And one of the things that I learned when I jumped in your boat several years ago with Bridget and Mr. Dalton was what you had done with the spinfish. Right? You had added a hoochie to it, and I had never seen that before, and since then I see it constantly. Right? Again, I don't know where that ultimately came from, but rigging is important. So that's the first thing that I saw was a little bit different, and here's what Jared had brought in this past weekend with the size 4mm beads. You had mentioned that those small beads up at the very front, very important. Last year when I had one of the prototypes, I had 6mm beads up there, and I was not getting this to run correctly. It was really frustrating. Turned out it was just me. It had nothing to do with the bait itself. Once I made the change, I became a little bit more successful. And you can see this is just another version of that rigging with 5 4mm and a bobber stop. So
I like that bobber stop idea. I might have to try that.
It's interesting, but I really love that look, man. I mean, you got that little bit of bling there, I guess,
and he
something
makes
else.
it in different colors. You can get it in green, chartreuse, kind of a bright pinkish, and in clear. And so you can kind of play with your color presentations there too.
I can see a number of applications where I could use that all by itself. So again, it's a VIP product. Support VIP whenever you can, everyone. But you also take things a little bit further, okay? And that's why I mentioned the hoochie on a spinfish. You got eyeballs.
I'm an eyeball guy.
You got eyeballs
like
on all these, all right? I laugh because, number one, I wish I would have thought of it, okay? Number two, all y'all are going to be finding some eyeballs out there now. I get it. And you're adding a little bit of extra flash there as well. Is that something that you do just for yourself, or is it something that you do because you actually think that all this, or maybe a better way to put it is that both reasons, that you catch more fish that way?
Well, I can't really ask the fish if they liked it because I put some extra tape on it.
Okay.
So it's just me. As a kid, I grew up tying flies, and I liked catching things on my own concoctions and so on. And it's kind of my way of taking it further with gear fishing, as I can, put eyeballs and prism tape and different colors and kind of tinker with my lures a little bit. I just enjoy doing that. And sometimes I find something that really works. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't think it makes a difference. But but it gives me something to do, in front of the TV. I can,
while you're watching out for GPS.
While I'm watching outdoor GPS.
I'm just having fun. Back in the day, we used to cut our own wobblers. We used to make our own spinners. All those things were really cool. Now it's almost no need to do that because there's so much of that stuff available these days. Being able to kind of doctor things up, make them your own, number one, like you mentioned, it's kind of nice that you can say that you did that.
Yeah.
But every so often, I can guarantee you that you found a bait or two over the years that was better than something that wasn't rigged that way that you did.
Absolutely. And I think that's a pretty standard thing for fishermen. We like to, add this color, add that color, add this bead or that bead, and I think it's in our nature to try and find that silver bullet, which we never really find.
True, but sometimes you might. But at least if it gets in your head, maybe that's it. Confidence. You mentioned that earlier.
And confidence, I think, is important too. And if you've got something that's working for you, keep on doing that. Don't change a thing.
Right.
And
don't fix what ain't broke.
Don't fix what isn't broke.
I gotcha. Proper pronunciation. I went to Franklin, everyone. I love that. I really do. I think that it's a new bait for all of us. I think that based on the testing that they had done prior to this being brought out to the public for many years, this was a 3 or 4 year project for Mr. Magnuson and the folks from Yakima Bait, says a lot all by itself. They made sure that this was going to be a viable bait. Trust me, they don't want to put something out there on the market that don't work, because they'll be the first ones to hear about it, and it's never a great conversation. But I love that. Thanks for showing us that, because that was certainly something that that he did not need to show us. Guides are not known for giving up, little secrets, big secrets, whatever it might be. Chris likes to share his info. That's one of the reasons why we love him here at GPS.
And Jared has assured me that they fixed the paint problem too.
That is what?
They fixed the paint problem.
Well, let's
hope so. Yeah.
To be very honest with you, my best baits over the years, when the paint starts to come off, are some of my best baits.
Keep on using them.
Keep on using them. There's a reason for that. But perception is what it is. Okay, so I've got him here in the studio. This next segment, we're going to jump back to spring Chinook. First question I'm going to have for him, as long as my brain works, I'm going to ask him when he might start using these in that early season, latter part of March, going into April, when he might start using these for spring Chinook, or if he will at all. I know that he is very much into using herring, but we'll find out what his perspective is on that when we come back from the break.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective. And by North American Metals Incorporated, first choice for all your metal roofing and siding needs.